What's poppin'? Welcome back to the station. Welcome back to the channel. Y'all know who it is. Your boy Ray G. You can find me on X at RayGQue. I wasn't going to do it. Then I said I'll do it. It's Friday night, and I want to talk ball, so fuck it. Let's do it. My dog Jordan Reid over at ESPN dropped an updated big board post-Senior Bowl, his top 50 players. These are a lot of players that we continue to talk about through these mocks. I want to see what he's got. I want to see where he's got these cats 1 through 50. I want to see where he's got Dart. I want to see where he's got Shador. Give us an opportunity to talk about some different players. It's Friday night. We got the Super Bowl on Sunday. We're chilling. We're talking ball. I got a special treat for y'all dropping on Sunday. We're going 2 rounds deep. Mock draft post Super Bowl, so stay locked in if you're new to the channel. We have a good time. We talk ball. We engage in the comments. We have a good time. 2025 NFL draft is around the corner. Jordan Reid's big board, top 50. Let's get it. Travis Hunter at the top, number 1 overall player. I'm very curious, man, just where he's going to play at the next level. I've thought about this. Can he go both ways? Absolutely. I think he can play offense. He can play defense. I think he's best maximized his talent and skill set. I believe he's a slightly better wide receiver than he is corner. I think Hunter is a slightly better receiver than corner, but reports are he's going to come in as a cornerback and hopefully play some offense. If you're looking at the top of the board, I think the best place to be able to do that, Cleveland. Cleveland, can he play wide receiver opposite Jerry Jeudy and then play that second corner next to Denzel Ward? I can definitely see that happening. Abdul Carter, the edge out of Penn State, the number 2 overall player for Reid. 6'3", 260, his first season playing traditional defensive end, edge rusher, hand in the dirt, oozing with talent. I believe he's going to test and look very similar to Dallas Cowboys All-Pro edge rusher Micah Parsons. So Abdul Carter, no surprise, right here at 2. And Reid's got Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan, as his 3rd overall player. He's awesome. 4-eye, interior, traditional defensive tackle. They stand him up, play him at outside linebacker. I mean, he could do everything. Run defender, be disruptive as a pass rusher. Love Mason Graham. Number 3 overall cat and a player that's going to be a top 10 pick come April. Here we go. Ashton Jeanty, 4th overall, the Boise State rusher. I'm seeing more mocks with Jeanty to 6 to the Las Vegas Raiders. If the team feels he's that caliber of running back prospect, that caliber of running back talent, are Lions fans upset that they took Gibbs at 12? Or are Falcons fans upset they have Bijan Robinson? Zeke, when he led the league in rushing as a rookie, I'm sure Dallas was fine with that pick. So Ashton Jeanty being 4th overall, very high, but he's an incredible running back. But the RB class is deep, and we'll see some other running backs inside of Reid's top 50. Let's move on to Will Johnson, I believe the best pure corner in this class, defensive player of the year, Patrick Surtain. He's built very much like PS2. So Will Johnson, a little bit of out of sight, out of mind because he got injured this season. Make no mistake about it. This dude is a top-flight, top-tier cornerback, top-tier prospect. Jalen Walker, there we go. My dog Reid. Finally, some Jalen Walker love, some hype. PFF mock simulators, goddamn Jalen Walker buried in the 50s. Got him as the 6th overall player in this class. Walker, Georgia's most consistent defender, shooting up draft boards, physical off-ball linebacker, 17.1% pressure rate, 5th in FBS, sacks, played well against Texas, who's got 2 offensive linemen that are going to be drafted, 1 drafted very high. I think Jalen Walker's a stud, certified stud. I want him. I believe he's a top 15 player in this class, and Reid has got him as a top 10 cat right now following the Senior Bowl. Will Campbell. And finally, look at this. Will Campbell, OT/guard, 6'6", 223. A lot of people think he's going to be an interior offensive lineman at the next level. And you know what this reminds me of? You know what this feels like? Let's talk ball, people. This feels like Zach Martin. Feels like when Zach Martin was coming out of Notre Dame, played tackle in college, could play tackle, can play center, could play guard, but he was an all-pro, Hall of Fame caliber offensive guard. I'm fine with that. If you're telling me I'm getting a Zach Martin level player, potentially out of Will Campbell, out of LSU, I'm fine. Whether he's got to kick inside or play on the edge, he's good. He's good. Will Campbell, 7 overall. Tyler Warren, 8th overall on Reid's big board. Vibe with me, folks. Just vibe with me for a second. And I know this is going to sound outlandish, but just Vibe with me for a second. Tyler Warren, 6'6", 257. He's going to be a first-round pick, going to be a top 20 pick in this class. We know the New England Patriots need a pass catcher. We know the New England Patriots need a pass catcher. Rob Gronkowski, when he was coming out of Arizona, 6'6", 264. These two are very similar in body type. I believe athletically they're gonna be very similar. Tyler Warren potentially a little more athletic than Gronk. But if I told you today, Pats fans, if I told you today that Tyler Warren was going to be Drake May's version of Rob Gronkowski that Tom Brady had, what's that worth? What's that worth? If you're asking me straight up who the better player is, Tyler Warren or Ted McMillan, I believe it's Tyler Warren. If I was New England and I needed a receiver, I'd be trying to throw the bag at T. Higgins first and foremost. If we strike out on that, then, we can have a different conversation. But I'm trying to get T. Higgins. I'm paying them whatever. They got enough money. I know Hunter Henry is there, but they can move on from Henry after this year. If I had the potential to take a dynamic playmaker like Tyler Warren to pair up with Drake May, if New England can trade back just a couple of spots, and we've seen a tight end go top 5 just a couple of years ago, and Kyle Pitts out of Florida with the Atlanta Falcons, Tyler Warren is a much better prospect than Kyle Pitts was. Maybe not as athletically gifted, but prospect, give me Tyler Warren over Kyle Pitts. Why not Tyler Warren in New England? Why not pair Drake May with his version of Rob Gronkowski? Why not Tyler Warren for the Pats? Why not? Tyler Warren, 8th overall, Jordan Reid's board. At 9, Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami. So inside the top 10, Cam Ward probably going to be QB1 off the board. And I'm reading here, he's got too much faith in his arm sometimes. Sort of Jordan Love, how he was at Utah State. I think the decision-making just needs to be cleaned up a bit, but the natural arm talent from Cam Ward is undeniable. Undeniable. Walter Nolan, I talked about him on my X feed. Follow me at RayGQue on X. Incredible Senior Bowl. Talk to the kid. The makeup, head on the right way, and his speed and athleticism, they drip on the field. I mean, he's dripping and oozing with talent. Walter Nolan, I think he'd be a stud defensive tackle. Put him in Cincinnati. Help out that Bengal pass rush up front. Walter Nolan, 10th overall on Reid's board. So we got the top 10. Walter Nolan, Cam Ward, Tyler Warren, Will Campbell, Jalen Walker, Will Johnson, Ashton Genty, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, and Travis Hunter. We're going to move a little faster through these next few. Don't want to take a ton of time. Let's get through these a little bit faster. At 11, Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. A lot of people thought he was the tackle 1 prior to being hurt, and Reid is alluding to that here in this write-up. So right here is the 11th overall player. You've got Ted McMillan, the receiver out of Arizona, the aforementioned receiver out of Arizona. We talked about Ted McMillan and his potential fit with New England and Drake May. So top 15 player in Ted McMillan. We go back to the SEC. Mykel Williams, Jalen Walker's edge mate out there at Georgia, coming in 13th overall on Reid's board. Armand Membu, offensive tackle out of Missouri. I've mocked him in the first round in multiple mock drafts. 6'4", 332, 14th overall. And Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado, 15th overall player for Reid. He is my QB1 in this class. I believe that the environment in which Sanders had to play, I don't know how many quarterbacks would have thrived in Colorado outside of Shedeur. His decision-making, his mental makeup, the completion percentage, his CPOE is over 10%, which is higher than that of Cam Ward and Jackson Dart. Put him around better players, and I think you get a better version of Shedeur. So top 15 player in Shedeur Sanders, according to Jordan Reid. Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia, 16th overall. Tyler Booker, the big guard out of Alabama, 17th. Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle out of Texas, 18th overall, according to Reid. And Shamar Stewart, got to see a lot of Shamar down at Mobile, 6'5", 280, freak, physical, disruptive, pressure, powerful. Shamar Stewart, big riser coming out of Mobile. Jaheed Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama, 20th overall. This is a player that I see back and forth in mocks. Sometimes I see him as high as 18th to Seattle. A lot of times he's not even in the first round. So Reid is saying this is a damn good player. 102 tackles, 11.5 tackles for a loss, and 5 sacks this past year for an Alabama team that took a little bit of a step back. But Campbell's looking like one of the good draft prospects coming out of Tuscaloosa. At 21, Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. right here for Jordan Reid at 21 overall. James Pierce, pressure. Second best in FBS, 19% pressure rate. James Pierce, 22nd overall, edge rusher out of Tennessee. Mike Green, talk about him a lot on the channel. Mike Green out of Marshall, powerful edge. Mike Green, 23rd overall according to Reid. And then we've got a wide receiver in Emeka Egbuka and Matthew Golden out of Texas. So we got Emeka at 24, Golden at 25. Golden's been a big riser. He's been in the first round of multiple mocks. We've had him on in the first round of mocks for a month over here on the channel. Solid month of mocking Matthew Golden inside the first round. Emeka Egbuka should be a first-round pick. Two different players. Emeka, slot, inside, power slot player. Golden, go-to target, can play the boundary can play boundary on the outside, can play in the slot, but more suited to play outside. Be a real number 2 to a number 1. Would love to see him or Emeka in Dallas, even though it seems like Emeka's better fit would be in a situation where he can play that power slot role, but two damn good wide receivers inside that top 25. Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon at 26. Ezariah Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State, 27th overall. Got to see him and talk to him in Mobile. Talked to a few scouts who think he will be a first-round lock. 6'1", 191. They say he's got everything that you want out of a true number 1 shutdown corner. I want to see how he tests. He looked fluid out there in Mobile. And here's the best part. He's raw. He's 20 years old. Doesn't turn 21 until July. So if you're looking for a young, moldable cornerback prospect, here you go. Ezariah Thomas out of Florida State, 6'1", 190, and young. There you go. At 28, Josh Connerly, offensive tackle out of Oregon. 29, Luther Burden III out of Missouri. I know a lot of people love that dog, Luther Burden. I think he's a slot-only guy. There's some limitations to his route tree right now, the way he was deployed. It's going to be very scheme-dependent for me. You see he's got him as a high-end wide receiver 2 who can complement an established wide receiver 1. I think that is very fair. If you've got an outside boundary wide receiver and you want some dynamic playmaking ability on the inside, Luther Burden is your guy. 5'11", 208, so he's probably going to weigh in, measure in at the combine, 5'10", 198, 205, somewhere around there. Run fast, Luther Burden, run fast. I like this game a lot. Would love to see him down in Houston. I think he'd be a great fit and complement to C.J. Stroud in Houston. At 30, Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan, 6'6", 340. He and Mason Graham just causing chaos up front for the Wolverines. Jahdae Barron, cornerback. Mike Sanderstill type player. Versatile defensive back. You see played star, played nickel, outside corner, can do it all. Jahdae Barron going to be a first-round pick, 31 according to Reid. We've got Gray Zabel, big Senior Bowl riser, center, guard, interior offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. Nick Emanwari, safety out of South Carolina. Rugged, physical, strong safety who can go get the ball. He is going to test well at the combine. And if he is in fact 6'3", 220 pounds and test well, I know a lot of y'all Broncos fans are like, we're not taking a safety in round 1. He's going to be a first-round pick. He's a physical ball hawk and a tone setter on the defensive secondary. So Nick Emanwari, trust he can play. TJ Sanders, defensive tackle out of South Carolina, coming in at 34. We've got Elijah Arroyo, big riser coming out of Mobile, is the tight end 3, and I believe he's going to be the tight end 3 when it's all said and done. Not Harold Fannin. I love Mason Taylor, but this dude is built different. I saw him up close and personal. I watched him work defensive backs like he was a wide receiver. 6'5", damn near, 250 pounds, and is fluid. This is going to be a second-round pick in the NFL draft, and if he tests well, I wouldn't put it past him sneaking in the back end of the first. Historically, Miami tight ends, even the worst ones, have been serviceable in the NFL. I'm not just talking about Jeremy Shockey and Kellen Winslow. You got Greg Olsen, David Njoku. You can go down the list. Chris Herndon, Clyde Walford. They do a good job of putting tight ends in the NFL. Gerald Everett as well. Elijah Arroyo, the next name in the list in the lineage of Miami tight ends. Bubba Franks was also a Miami tight end, just going deep. Darius Alexander, big riser after the Senior Bowl, DT out of Toledo, getting a lot of buzz right now. Siobhan Revel Jr., 6'3" cornerback out of East Carolina, and had not been for the ACL, we would definitely be talking about him as a top 30 player in this class. And if the medicals check out, he's going to be all right. But the ACL happened in September. I'm not expecting him to do any testing at the combine, which is unfortunate, but still a very good player. Donovan Jackson, interior offensive lineman out of Ohio State at 38. Jonas Savina, the offensive tackle guard out of Arizona, also down in Mobile. Big dude, 6'4", 339. He looks even bigger than that. Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina, 6', 220. Junior. This is the second running back off of the board, according to Jordan Reid, behind Ashton Jeanty. Love me some O. Hampton. I don't know if it's Hampton, Caleb, or Hendo as the RB2, but I want one of them. I want one of the four. They're all good. Ben Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. Injuries, medicals, need to see what that hip is looking like, especially for corners. I don't want to be playing around with CBs and bad hip injuries. Nick Scorton says edge out of A&M, but Shamar Stewart's more of the edge, and Nick Scorton is more as the interior run-defending defensive tackle, but still a good player. I think he's a physical player. They got him listed as a perimeter pass rusher. He had 15 sacks over 2 seasons at damn near 300 pounds. Kick his big ass inside, and let's go get after it. Nick Scorton out of A&M, 42 overall on the board. Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky. I heard Todd McShay, or is it Mel Kiper and Field Yates, saying that this kid is probably going to be a first-round pick if he tests well, even though the weight is a little low. I think he'd let weight in at the Senior Bowl in the 180s. If he could bulk up to 190, run fast, he's got a shot to be a top 50 pick. I agree. Omar Norman Lott. I'm so glad Reid has him here because he doesn't fit the look of a traditional interior defensive tackle. He stood out very much so in Mobile. He stood out a lot. His presence, his aura, and more importantly, his play. His play. Quick, fast, physical, aggressive off the line. I was impressed with Omar Norman Lott, the DT out of Tennessee. I can't wait to dive more into his tape and seeing Reid have him inside his top 50. That is encouraging. Ariante Essery, offensive tackle out of Minnesota, another Senior Bowl riser. Impressive. He did a good job against Mike Green on one-on-ones, and those drills are historically and designed for the defensive ends and the defensive linemen to look good and embarrass the O-line, and that did not happen with the 6'6" Essery. So Ariante Essery here at 45. Big Hendo, Travion Henderson, running back out of The Ohio State. National champs, baby. I've compared him to what Reggie Bush was in the NFL. Not Reggie Bush at USC. They're two different players. But the way that Reggie was utilized at the next level when he and Pierre Thomas were doing good, when Reggie played in Miami, I think that's the caliber of player you have with Henderson. But he works best in tandems. You want another bruising running back to take some of that between the tackles, between the 20s pressure off for Hendo, and let him be explosive. Let him be dynamic in the receiving game. Henderson is incredible. Top 50 player. He's going to be a top 50 pick in the draft, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's the second running back off of the board behind Ashton Jeanty. At 47, Mason Taylor, another one of my guys. I keep saying it. Last mock I reviewed from Matt Miller, he had Mason Taylor going 55 overall to the Chargers. I love it. I love it. Tyler Warren is incredible. Colston Loveland is fantastic. Elijah Arroyo is athletic, and Mason Taylor might be the most complete damn tight end in this class. He can do it all. Big dude. Big, physical. Hall of Fame pedigree from his dad. There's nothing he hasn't seen. He led LSU in receiving as a true freshman. Oh, he was one of the leading receivers on LSU during his freshman season. He played with Brian Thomas Jr. He's played on the field with Malik Neighbors, and he's held his own. All-time leader in receptions, 129 at the tight end position. All-time leader in the yards for the tight end position at LSU. He can do everything, and he can block. They can all improve in that area, but he is physical enough, and he's got the size and the makeup to do it. I'm a big fan of Mason Taylor. Love seeing him in the top 50. Talik Williams, 48th overall on the board. He had a hell of a college football playoff run. Defensive tackle is deep. Donovan Ezeruku, the edge out of Boston College. This kid, again, in Mobile, you just see the differences in the get off, the first step, how they finish, closing speed, reaction time. He checked every one of those boxes. Good performance for him. Good to see him inside the top 50. And finally, Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss, was also down there. 6 foot, 195. Good ball skills, SEC competition. There it is, the top 50. Now, Reid did give us his rankings at every position, so we're here. It's not that long. let's just go through it. Have a little fun talking through his rankings at every position. QBs, his top 5, Cam Ward, Shedeur, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, and Kyle McCord. The only thing that I disagree with is Jalen Milroe. I would not have him inside of my top 5. I would kick him out. I would take a shot on Will Howard. I would take a shot on Howard. I'm just not there with Jalen Milroe at this point in time, but honestly, it's the top 3 guys for me. It's Ward, it's Sanders, and Dart. I prioritize him Sanders, Ward, Dart. After that, give me Kyle McCord, give me a shot on Will Howard. All right, let's go to his running backs. I keep telling people, don't trip if you don't get Ashton Jeanty. The class is deep. You got Jeanty, O'Hampton, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, and Quinshawn Judkins out of Ohio State. No argument there. Those are my top 5 running backs in some order as well. Fullbacks, H-backs, so not your traditional tight ends. Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green, Oronde Gadsden out of Syracuse, and Jake Brenningstool, big tight end out of Clemson. He is third on that fullback, H-back. I don't believe any one of these guys are going to be traditional hand-in-the-dirt tight ends. They're going to play that move, fullback, H-back, flex-type tight end position. Receivers, Tet McMillan, Emeka Egbuka, Matthew Golden, Luther Burden, and Elick Ayomanor out of Stanford. He is not putting Travis Hunter in here, but if Hunter declares, I guarantee he'll be a top 5 receiver. Outside of that, I agree with this list. I really like what Jalen Noel did at the Senior Bowl, wide receiver out of Iowa State. I think he could sneak in there if Travis Hunter is not in this class as a wide receiver. Tight ends, loaded. Loaded tight end class, and look at the names. Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, Elijah Arroyo, Mason Taylor, and Gunnar Helm at tight end. Absolutely stacked at the tight end position. Tackles. He's got Simmons, Mimbu, Banks, Connerly, and Essery at offensive tackle. That's good to know that Simmons is getting some steam, as well as Armand Mimbu out of Missouri. Guards, Will Campbell, Tyler Booker, Donovan Jackson, Jonas Savina, and Marcus Mabu out of Purdue. Centers, Gray Zabel, no surprise there. Jared Wilson out of Georgia. Jake Mazurs out of Texas. Seth McLaughlin from Ohio State. And Drew Kendall from Boston College. Edge rushers. He had to give us 8 deep. Had to give us 8. Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker, Mykel Williams, Shamar Stewart, and James Pierce, the top 5 edge, followed by Mike Green, Nick Scorton, and Donovan Ezeruku from Boston College. Let's go D tackles. Mason Graham, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant, TJ I just want all the line. Give me all the D-line. I want all the D-line, the edge rushers, the ends, the tackles. I want them all. And there's names that he hadn't even listed. No Talik Williams. No, what's the big boy out of Kentucky? Dayon Walker. The kid out of Texas. Like, this defensive line class is unreal. Princely Human Mylan's not on here. Give me all the D linemen. Linebackers, Jaheed Campbell, Carson Sweshinger, Demetrius Knight, Chris Paul Jr., and Barrett Carter out of Clemson. Cornerbacks, Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, Ezariah Thomas, Jahdae Barron, and Siobhan Revel. Anybody telling you this class is bad, man? Defensively, I want these cats. Like, I need my team to draft 4 or 5 of these dudes. Just take the shot. This is a good class, especially defensively. Safeties, you got Starks, Heman Wari, Xavier Watts, Andrew Mabuka from Texas. And then you got Kevin Winston Jr. out of Penn State. Safeties, good group of safeties. And I'm not even about to BS y'all. I don't know a damn thing about the kickers or the punters. But that's why you tap in to Jordan Reid. So there it is. Top 50. Top 50. Some players that I need to probably need to get in a couple of these mocks. Darius Alexander. This is a cat that, he might be a top 32 player along with Arroyo. I've talked about Zabel. We've mocked him round 1. Nicky Minwari, we've not mocked him round 1 as well. Bird and Connerly, Ezariah Thomas, I got to get him in there. Got to get Ezariah Thomas in there. Jordan Reid does great work over at ESPN. Make sure you follow him. Check out his content. And if you stuck around to the end of this video, just enjoyed the ball talk conversation. Everything doesn't have to be deep dive strategy. Just let's talk ball. Talk about these players, the feelings around these players, the sentiment around these guys right now. Jordan Reid does an excellent job. I appreciate each and every eye and ear that pulls up to this channel. Do me a favor, subscribe, turn the notifications on. It's NFL Draft all the time, and I got a treat for you once again. dropping right after the Super Bowl. So thank you for being here. Subscribe to the podcast feed. If there is an event where you can't join here on YouTube, Let's Talk Ball on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast from. Enjoy the game this Sunday. Stay locked into the channel, and I'll see y'all soon. I'm out. Peace.